Mother-in-law won't take no for an answer. COVID Thanksgiving. Due to COVID, my fiance and I have been extremely careful. On the other hand, his family hasn't. His family just traveled in a plane and expected us for Thanksgiving. We declined and are opting for it just being the two of us. Instead of taking no for an answer, she asked us to come for dessert, and instead of taking no to that answer, she decided to get tested for COVID even though she's only been back a few days. She constantly guilts my fiance into doing what she wants, and I think it's 1, extremely disrespectful to not accept our answer, and 2, very manipulative to try to get us to change our minds. I've told him if he feels comfortable when her test result comes back he can go, but I do not feel comfortable as it has only been 2 days since her return. I know she will call later today and try to ask why we won't come again. It's infuriating because he falls for the guilt trip and it will ruin our time together for Thanksgiving if he is upset with her. Am I being an asshole? How should I handle this besides being firm in my boundaries? TL Doctor, my future mother-in-law has a habit of guilt tripping. How can I get her to accept boundaries? Why do you feel like you need to keep responding? You said no. That's it. Don't go over there and you spend Thanksgiving as planned. Thank you. Yes? Why keep responding when our decision has been made? I'll keep that in mind when she tries to reach out in the next few days. How can I get her to accept boundaries? By being firm and repeating until she gets it. If you give in after she's bothering you for the 10th time, all you're teaching her is that she needs to ask 10 times. I myself wouldn't be comfortable with your husband going there either. He lives in the same house as you and you're not keeping distance, I assume, so if he's going you might as well be going too. Boundaries do not control other people. Boundaries modify your behavior when they get crossed. I will not discuss X. When X is mentioned, I will end the conversation, leave, hang up the phone, show the other person the door, etc. Your mill will not like that. She's allowed to be upset, but when she crosses other boundaries by being nasty, you continue to show the appropriate response of having your boundaries crossed. You remove the offending person from your immediate life for a period of time that you find appropriate. At some point she may catch on that you spend your time and effort on people who behave decently, and she may modify her behavior enough to be within what you find reasonable and acceptable. No guarantees, though. You do not owe her a conversation when she calls and crosses your boundaries. I've said all I have to say about this. I'm hanging up now. Talk to you some other time. Or any other goodbyes you feel is right, is not rude. Boundaries with Mill will only work if you and your husband are a unified front. Work on him first. Not taking no for an answer only works when people play along. No, any contact with her this week is going to be nothing but guilt trips, so don't answer. If you want to be nice, you can call her tomorrow, and the second she starts the guilt trip, hang up. She needs to be trained to understand consequences, and your husband needs to be reminded that when his mother guilt trips him, she's intentionally trying to hurt him in order to get his way. He needs to understand that he does not have to be her emotional punching bag. You may not be successful this week in unbrainwashing your husband, but look into the fog: fear, obligation, guilt. There's tons of resources once you start looking. For this week, you know she's going to ruin your Thanksgiving regardless, so just don't pick up the phone. At least you won't be furthering her games. My 44F best friend, 52M, is being creepy. For the last 20 years my best friend BFF, M52, and I, 44F, have been strictly friends. We have never kissed or had sex, it's been strictly friendship. I'm divorced and I recently found myself in between having a home. Things happened with the last place I lived with my roommate and I had to make a quick exit. My BFF was kind enough to let me and my dog come to his place. I've got a place of my own in the works, but it is going to be a couple of weeks still. From a couple of days after I began staying here he's been making me uncomfortable. He makes sexual comments towards me. He started weirdly walking around the apartment in his underwear and sitting at the table, which is where I sit. He's looked at me and asked me point blank, wanna have sex? And I keep telling him that he is making me uncomfortable and I don't want him talking to me like that. He was trying to get me to tell him if I shave or not, if I ever fake faked an orgasm, and other personal things I don't feel comfortable discussing with my friend, and I am hard pressed to have those conversations with a female friend, much less a man. One day we were at the mall, and in Spencer there's a section of sex toys. He pulled me back there and said, "I want to buy you something," like it was the most innocent thing in the world. I told him that it was inappropriate and walked away. He caught up with me and went to talking about me getting on a dating site. Told him I am not wanting to date anyone, and he said that I could find a place to stay that way. I was shocked. You want me to basically trade sex for housing? I used a lot more words than that, but that is basically what I asked him. It felt like it was what he was suggesting. He flat out stated that rent ain't free. I pointed out that I had paid half his rent just 2 days prior, and I stormed off. A few days ago the mail comes and I had gotten a package. Having not ordered anything, I was surprised. It was a big bubble mailer, and inside was a box and another item that just by the outline in the package looked like a penis. I hadn't even opened it yet, but I got a sick feeling. I opened the end of the package and looked inside without removing either item. There was 2 vibrators in the package. He went to the kitchen and in the drawer pulled out 4 package of new battery and put them on the table and said, "You going to use it tonight?" Just too serious. I was speechless. I got my dog and went for a walk. Come back about 2 hours later, and before I get all the way in the door he says, "Can I watch?" And at first I didn't know what he meant, then it quickly hit me and I just looked at him and said, "Shut up, I never want to have to tell you again." Since then I have been extremely uncomfortable. I was uncomfortable before the package came, but since it has, I've not even wanted to shower while he is in the apartment, and I am been making sure that I am not in any way wearing my clothes too tight. My general around the house clothing is typically leggings and t-shirt, but I have been wearing the baggiest sweatpants and sweatshirt I've got. I feel downright disturbed by what he's doing. I've got nowhere else to go for a couple weeks. When I have tried to tell him that I am uncomfortable, it seemed like it made it worse. I can't just ignore it. I don't know how to handle it. My friendship is ruined. Too long didn't read. My best friend of 20 years is sexually harassing me and bought me a vibrator, and I don't know what to do about it. I highly recommend Googling ways to find hidden cameras, as well as perhaps a women's shelter in your area. Literally anywhere else but where you are will be safer. Also go ahead and pack yours bags. Get your important documents/items together and ready to grab. Make a go bag. Check for cameras was my first thought, too. Even behind a screen, this is terrifying. How can you still sleep there without having nightmares about him raping you or worse? He's abusive. He already showed that he doesn't care about your boundaries, what you feel or what you want. He also hinted that he still considers you owing him something even after you split rent. He's also testing how much he can get away with before you leave. Find a shared place with female students if you can't afford anything on your own. Whatever female-only place would be better than this. This is not creepy, this is abuse. Trust your gut, it's telling you something is very wrong. Like someone else suggested, you need to get out ASAP. Pack up your stuff, grab your dog, and hit the road. Living in your car for 2 weeks would be better than being alone with that guy. Consider the money you paid in rent gone, but your life is worth way more than that. Be safe. This is absolutely terrifying. He's basically telling you that you should pay him with your body, and he don't give a fuck when you say no hundreds of times. Can't you move in with literally anyone else? Preferably a female, to not have to deal with the sexist rape mentality from men. If you lived near me, I would ask my mother-in-law. She has a big house to herself with plenty of room. But I doubt you're in Sweden. In your situation, I would have put up an add-on and said you were looking for a room to rent temporarily till date_, and that you are sexually harassed by the guy you're staying with now. Helpful women will react and hopefully be able to help out. As soon as you have a new place, you block this fucking rapist. Never see or speak to him again. Period. What a creep. I'm so sorry. I know one thing I would flat out tell him: you lay one hand on me, I will call the police. And I would throw those vibrators in the trash. Do you have enough money to pay for a hotel room until you can get a place? You really need to get out of there and stay away from this guy. I'm afraid for you. Does your bedroom door lock? Is this all this guy has ever thought about you? You really need to get out of there ASAP. My 23F boyfriend, 25M, doesn't want to cure his IBS and it's ruining our relationship. Too long didn't read. My boyfriend doesn't want to cure his IBS, though he knows that it's hard for me to handle these relationships because we don't spend time outdoors at all and it's very important for me. I've lost all hopes for him and feel guilty. Edit. Thank you all for your takes and opinions. I know how it is to deal with a chronic illness. I have an epilepsy for 15 years already. I also take pills which reduce symptoms, and they also have side effects. And I take other pills to minimize those, because I don't want my disease to ruin my life. I try to be an example for my BF. Now we decided to make a pause and move separate. I stated that it's not a breakup, because we both should make up our minds about our life. He agreed and said that maybe living somewhere else would help him to sort himself out and become more self-aware. I wish him so. We've been living together for 1.5 years and all this time I was very supportive towards him, but his disease always stopped us from traveling together and spending time outdoors, which is very important to me and he knows that. Sometimes we went in a suburb to walk in the forest or to the movie theater, like 5 to 6 times in a 1.5 years, really, but no further. For almost 1 year he did nothing. Sometime after we started dating he had a remission and was very active, but a few months after his disease progressed and he stopped wanting to go outside at all. I gently pushed him towards visiting the psychiatrist. His type is mentally related, but after the visit he refused to take the prescribed meds. All this time I was feeling like I'm drowning in the swamp, but I thought maybe it's okay and he'll change his attitude when he sees that I'm active and full of life. After his recent, a month ago, visit to a doctor I was delighted. Finally. But after I spoke with him after he refused to go with me to the movie theater this weekend and put the straight question, do you take your meds? He said no, because of the side effects. Though the doctor also prescribed him something to cover these effects. I just lost all my hope for him. He behaves so childishly. He says that it's me who will be responsible for our possible breakup because of IBS. That he can see that it's me who started to feel uncomfortable, meaning he's perfectly fine with me while I'm not with him. He said that he knows that it's hard to live with him. I feel guilty and obliged not to break up now, though I'm really on edge. I don't know. What do I do? We've talked about it 1,000 times in every possible way. It's been really tough for me just to spend most of the weekends and free hours at home. I want to see the world, or at least to see my country. Pandemic year. I want to go to different places and events, and I want my partner to accompany me to share this experience. Not every time, of course. I'm not naive, but at least some time. I'm tired of sitting at home and doing things without him or alone. I've lost all hopes for him, and I feel guilty for that. What could I do? Yes, not a native speaker, sorry for grammar issues. You should not stay in a relationship that doesn't make you happy. Side effects can be hell, and who wants to take more medicine to make the medicine okay? Not many people. He has a different lifestyle than you, for this reason you are incompatible. By all means, break up with the guy if you aren't happy. You don't need a good enough reason to do that. But about the IBS. What the heck are you guys talking about? I'm a lifelong sufferer of IBS. It's not curable, only manageable by diet and maybe some medicine, but if the side effects are bad, why would he take them? I manage mine through diet but still have flare-ups occasionally. I don't think you almost commenters here have a good understanding of the disease.